Good morning or good afternoon, depending on what time you're actually watching this. Wanted to go ahead and get you guys started for week 3. We're actually going to be doing our second illustrator. And to get you started for this week, of course, you need to do the attendance for this week. And attendance each week is going to be right here on the side, as you can see right here. And then for this week, it's going to be week of 9-4. You should be able to see it by now. Right here, and you just click on that to get started. And then we are going to be in Illustrator 2, which is going to be, I'll go ahead and change this right now to make it a little bit easier for y'all. And put on here week 3. Try to make that a little bit easier for you guys. All right, there you go. Now, as you go into week 3, you're going to see that I have a quick survey for you guys to do. It's a free 100. And we just need to find out a couple of things as we're getting ready to gear up for the spring semester. We have 2 questions. Number 1, are you a Clemson student taking our computer graphics classes? If you are, just say yes. If you're not, just say no. Very simple. Now, the second question you only need to answer if you are a Clemson student. And if you are a Clemson Bridge student, just click on there and say whether you do need to take the ad design class that we offer here or whether you don't need to take it or if you're just unsure. Once you do that, just click done, take a screenshot that you are done and submit it to this assignment, and then you'll get a free 100 for doing so. Whether you're a Tri-County student or a Clemson student, we just need it done. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Now, first thing I want y'all to do before we get started is go right here. You're going to click on this, and it's going to download a worksheet for you in Illustrator. Now, it should pull this up for you. Oh, hold on, I'm getting a phone call. Okay, sorry about that. So remember, you can Alt and zoom in. Hit your Alt button to zoom in. And then your space bar, if you hold your space bar down, it's going to give you a little hand. And you can grab it and drag it around where you want to. Now, I'm going to turn this up here. So I want you to look right here. And you will see it says to make sure to turn off fill and have a dark stroke. So we're going to see that right over here. I'm going to make it where you can see it really good. See, this right here is our fill. We're going to turn that off. And this is our stroke. And our stroke is going to be our primary. So we are going to double click on that. Just say OK. So that becomes our focal point. So you just double click on that to bring it forward and to make sure that your stroke is in the background. I mean that your fill is in the background and that it is turned off with a none. Okay. Okay, now I'm going to show you, you don't have to change yours, but I do want to show you what's going to happen if you actually left it with the fill. So with the pen tool, because that's what we're going to be working on today, if I went ahead and I was drawing something, a lot of the times you don't realize, well, this is kind of a gray background. I'll tell you what, let me do it this way. A lot of the times you don't realize, let me just delete the whole thing. You don't realize with your pen tool, as you're drawing, you see how you can't really see that you have something going on in there. So as you're drawing, you don't realize that you can't see through, or maybe that you can't see the background. So what happens is if I was to change this color, all of a sudden, you'll see that everything kind of overlaps each other and you're not going to be able to see through it. All right. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and bring it back to the white. We're going to go ahead and turn this back to this was black. Okay. Now, whoops, here I go again, messing it up. If I was to change this, now I can see through it. So this lets me see exactly what I'm doing without it ever disappearing on me, because sometimes that will happen. Okay. So let's just go ahead and we're going to get rid of everything here. All I have to do is hit my selection tool. Whoops, I didn't mean to grab my background. And then I'm going to highlight that and I'm going to get rid of it. Now, when I start working with my pen tool, the first thing it does is it creates an origin, which is your anchor point. And you will see how like it'll start drawing a line for you. And it'll create anchor points, which is actually really nice to have. With these type of anchor points, they are called corner anchor points because they're just a very straight line. Okay. Now, to get rid of this, you just hit escape and it'll stop your pen from continuously going. Now, another type of anchor point is called a smooth anchor point. Now, this particular anchor point is once you do your anchor point and you go to make another anchor point, you can click on it and then drag, and notice how it creates a curve. And you drag it and it creates another curve, and you drag it. These are called smooth anchor points. So now you're seeing that there are two different, whoops, I didn't mean to create that one. There are two different types of anchor points, your corner and your smooth. And I'm going to show you how to use both of these. Okay, so let's move to the next part. So spacebar, and you can just drag it. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to follow the directions with our pen tool. So the first thing we're going to do is follow these directions. So click on the blue circles. Do not click and drag, just click on the blue circles, and then between the lines, click and hold Control and click anywhere off the original line to deselect. Okay, so what it is saying here is we're going to click here on number 1 and click here on number 2, and now we've created a line. So number 3 says hold Control and click anywhere off the original line. So what's going to happen is if I don't do that, notice that it's still creating extra lines, and we don't want to do that. So what I'm going to do is 1, 2, and then I'm going to hit the Control button, which brings me back to the selection tool. Notice that my mouse has changed. And I'm going to click anywhere on here, and now look, I don't have my line tool anymore. So now I can go back to 4, click, and 5. See, my line is back, so I'm going to hit Control, which brings me back to my selection tool. And I'm going to hit my mouse so that it lets it go. I'm going to do the same thing again. Click 7, click 8 because it's brought me back to my mouse tool. And I'm going to hit Control to click off and deselect. Wait, what is happening? Where's my line? Oh, somehow I have changed these two lines. But my lines are there, so that happens sometimes. So I'm going to hit my selection tool and see that my line is here. I'm going to click on this and I'm going to change it to black. Don't really know how I did that, but it's okay because I can still fix it. There's my lines. All right. So we got that. Now we're going to go down and we're going to follow the directions here. So we're going to go back to my pen tool. I know that I don't have a fill on. I don't want my fill on right now, and I have my black in my line tool. So we're going to start with number 1. Draw my line to number 2, 3, 4. And then what it's telling me for end 5 is to go back to the original anchor point and click on it. And what it does is it allows my pen tool to connect it as one piece and create a shape so that now I can move on without having to keep it going. Okay, so now it's not, see how it doesn't create a new thing, it's creating separate shapes. Okay, So let me go ahead and get rid of this little triangle for you. So now we're going to do the same thing again. Let me make sure I get my pen tool. I'm going to hit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I messed that one up a little bit, and that's okay. I'll show you something in a second. 6, 7. Okay? Now I've created a whole nother shape. Now, what's a really cool thing about the pen tool is if I go over here to the pen tool and I see the piece beside it called the curvature, I can actually click on that and it allows me to adjust different points. So now I just need to click on this and I can move it down and fix just that one point to make that box a little bit more perfect. And now I just go back and click on my pen tool and now my boxes are perfect. Whoops, look at me trying to jump ahead again. All right, so we're going to go ahead and move down. We're going to start here and we're going to make our triangle. This part is very simple. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Now what it is telling us to do is we're going to hit the Alt button and we're going to click on this. Oh, whoops. Let me go back. We're going to hit our selection tool. We're going to hit the Alt button and then we're going to select that and then we're going to drag it over here, match up the points. So you just hit your selection tool, hit the Alt button on your computer and then drag it over by clicking on it. You drag it over here. Now what we're going to do is at the very top of our screen up here, you're going to see that when we are with the selection tool, with the direct selection tool, which is this tool right here beside it, when you move over into that tool, and we are looking at this here, let me bring the whole thing over here, sorry. We're going to be able to, we're going to be able to adjust this accordingly. Now, there's a couple of different ways that we can do this. All right. So we're going to select on this one. You hit the anchor point right here and all of a sudden up here is going to change. Right now we are on a direct straight point, but what we want to do is change it to a smooth point. Okay, so when I do that, all of a sudden it curves that point. So now I'm going to go to number 2 and I'm going to click on that one and I'm going to change it to a curved point as well. Notice now it looks more like a teardrop than an actual triangle. Okay, and that is how you would change that up. Now when I click off of it, all of a sudden it's back to being just the black shape. Okay, so now we're going to move over and scroll up, or you can do the other piece like we did before, where you grab the space bar and click on it that way with the hand tool. Okay, now for this one, you're going to need to do both smooth and corner type anchors. So we're going to have to access the anchor point tool by holding the Alt while we're in the pen tool for this one. Okay, so this is where it gets a little bit tricky, but I'm going to show you how to do this. So we're going to go in our pen tool. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on number 1, drag up to the green. We're going to let go. We're going to click on number 2, drag down to the green, and let go. Notice how now it's created that arch. So of course now what I can do is I can hold Control, click off of it. Look, I did it again. Y'all see what I'm doing over here? You might not. Every now and then I do this because I get lost in what I'm doing. So we're going to change this to black because I'm not paying attention to what I'm doing sometimes. That needs to be, hold on. Go back to the selection tool. I'm going to select my path. Leave that one alone. Click on this one. We're going to make this black. There you go. So now I have fixed my, what in the world? Why are you doing this? Stop. Black. All right, we'll just delete it and we'll make it do what we want it to do. So I'm going to click my pen tool. I want this pen tool to be black. Why is it not? There we go. I'm going to click here and make it, but I'm going to make this one do that. I had to go back to the original because it's not wanting to listen to me. So we're just going to say, okay. I've got my pen tool. We're starting over. So click on number 1. Drag it up to the green star. Let it go. Click on number 2, drag it down to the star. Let it go. Hit Control. Click off of it. Now you've got an arch. We're going to do the same thing again. Click on number 4, drag it up to the star. Let it go. Click on number 5, drag it down to the star. Let it go. Hit Control. Click off of it. I don't know why it keeps doing this. I'm going to find my arch. We're going to make that go like that. There we go. Okay. See what's happening here? We are creating arches. So now we're going to go down here. We're going to scroll down. Grab the pen tool. We're going to do the same thing, but instead of letting it go, we're just going to create this loop. So number 1, click on it, drag up to the star, let it go. Number 2, click, drag down to the star, let it go. Number 3, drag up to the star, let it go. We're going to hit Control. We're just going to click off. Now you have this beautiful arch piece going on. Now over here's where it's going to get a little bit more tricky, and I'm going to show you how to do this without it really messing you up. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the same thing again. So we're going to click number 1, drag up to the star, let it go. Number 2, drag down to the star, let it go. Now, notice when I try to go here to the number 3, right, it's trying to arch on me. Well, that's not really going to work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click the arc button, and I'm going to grab this, what we call the handle, just of this one on the star, and I'm going to pull it to the number 3. And now when I hit the number 3, now when I hit Control and I click off of it, now you'll notice I have a straight line. So I grabbed the anchor point down here from this line and I moved it over, and it broke it, and it created a straight line, and it broke the curvature. It broke it from being the smooth back to being the oh, my brain's not working today. Back to being the straight. Okay. So we're going to do the same thing again. I'm going to kind of show you again. All right. So sometimes you need the straight, sometimes you need the curve. So we're going to do the 1, click on the 1, drag up to the star, let it go. Click on the 2, drag down to the star, let it go. Now remember, we're trying to curve, but we don't want it to curve. So what we're going to do is hit the Alt button, which brings me this little looks like a little alligator mouth. And I'm going to grab this handle here, and it broke it. So I'm going to bring it here. And it doesn't have to be, I mean, you don't have to be like on the 3. It just needs to be on this line. And I'm going to now bring this to 3. Now what happens is because I'm on the 3 now I've got to drag the 3 up here, let it go, click on the 4, drag it down, let it go, and now I've got to hold the Alt button again because it's going to do it again. I'm going to drag that over here while I'm still holding the Alt button. And now because I broke it and it's created that straight line again, I can click on the 5. And then of course I'm going to hit the Control button and click off the original shape. All right. So practice with that until you get comfortable with it. Watch this video a couple of times if you need to, but hopefully this will help you get started and go from there. Let me know if you have any questions.